Welcome back to O's for Off-Road. Today, taking out the HVAC system in my C5 Corvette Z06. The engine's blown up and I'm putting a new engine in, so might as well do it now. This is a race car, but if you were going to take it out to repair it, this helps you know where all the bolts are. So what we're going to do is, that's the whole entire HVAC unit. It comes out as a whole. The only thing you have to take off is this part for the defroster. That comes off with a bolt there and one there, and it actually bolts on top of this unit into the dash. But once that is out, you have a couple electrical connectors. There's one on this side and two on this side, and I'll show you later in the video about those. And then you take off this piece right here. It's just that bolt, and that bolt. I think they're 6mm, and that comes right off. Once this is off and that's off, there's a bolt here and a bolt here, and I'll show you those later in the video as well. And that thing comes out as a whole. You can see it here on the floor. But to do that, you gotta get the dash out. To get the dash out, there's a couple bolts. There's gonna be one here. If this was lined up, there'd be one there. There's gonna be one on this side. I believe there's a couple down here because you gotta take the glove box out. And then there's one there, one there. Normally that is the ignition. Normally the ignition is right there, but if you take it off with that one bolt right there, it kind of comes down out of the way, which I needed to do to get the thing out of the car. And then you gotta disconnect that lower connector right there. There's the Torx there and there, and then up here there's a sensor and a 8mm bolt there. Another sensor and an 8mm bolt there. You know what? I'm saying 8mm. It might be 10. One of those two. And then the other side, there's more. And similar to the other side, there's one up here. And then underneath all of this, there's one there. And that's it for this. You see the Torx are right there and right there. Obviously, you got to take off this bottom panel, the side panels, and the dash or the glove box and that. But once you have all that out, then this thing literally just kind of comes out. I can almost take it out with one hand. And then once that's out, you can get on with your HVAC. So on with the video. I forgot to shoot my intro, so that's what I'm doing right now. So, all right, I'm working on removing the entire HVAC system, which seems to come out like all as one unit. So there's a bolt there and there. So I tried finding information on this before I started, and one thing I wish I had was a good video of what it looked like before everything was taken, or after everything was taken out, so you get a good idea where the bolts are on the other side. So I know I showed you on the other side, but there's on the firewall side, there's that bolt there. There's one right there, and then there's the coolant lines. And then up top, there would be this one and that one. But one of the other things I did to help me take this thing out of here, this is, if you're looking at inside the dash, there's this plastic piece here. It's held on by this, I think it's like 7mm or 8 or something like that. Here and here, maybe there's 6. But this comes off, and that gives you more room to get it out of the car. But, you know, next step is, I was thinking of stripping the air conditioner section, or coils out of this, just to save that amount of weight. But feeling how heavy this is, I'm thinking I'm gonna just strip the whole thing. So let's weigh this and find out. First, I'm gonna take care of that leak. Apparently, you get those two, and if you take these two off, this kind of like comes out a little bit. Like you can pull on it. There's a lot of cables in there, so you can't pull it far, but you can pull it just far enough to kind of slip that out. But there's some bolts that are really hard to find, things that I couldn't figure out in here that have to come out. So the first one is right there. There's a clip for this line that's normally going from there to there. So that's got to come out. And then there's one right there that comes out too. Those are 10mm. And then that connects there, which is 10mm, and that's your heater core. And then the one right above it, that's for your condenser connector for your air conditioning. So those 10mm, 10mm, and those 10mm, those come off. Once those are off, which I don't know how you get to that with the engine still in there. But luckily I blew my engine up, so it's not in there. But yeah, so that's gonna come out because this thing is a race car. And going to try to strip out the air conditioning condenser out of this to save some weight, and then contemplate maybe not putting back the entire thing. We'll see. Little update. You do not need to disconnect that. I guess you could, but there's bolts down here in this little tray that bolt in from the bottom, and then it's glued in, so you have to bust all that open. What I ended up doing was, this is the ignition. There's a bolt back there. You take it off. That allows this whole thing to go that way a little bit, and then once it's that way, it should let you pull it all the way out. So I'm like on the precipice to pulling this thing out. And then there's one more. There's a connector right here. It was starting to come out, and then it got caught on that, so I figured I'd show you all that. But that looks like that connector seems like it. So I'm just going to continue basically pulling that side out this way more, and it should come out this way and then out. So let's try that. So this is getting awkward, but anyway, that worked. One other thing that I apparently forgot was back here. There's this multicolored connector, and then I guess there's this connector for HVAC, and this, whatever this purple thing is, looks like a vacuum line. I don't know what that is. Well, it was pressurized, but this thing's rusted on my knee and it's heavy. Yeah, it's literally out now in my lap. So I'm gonna put the phone down and try to get this thing out of here and meticulously label those cables that I disconnected. All right, I got the entire assembly here hanging. I've added in the, I don't know what this piece is here, but that's what shoots the air on the top of the window, and then, or the defrost or whatever. And then down here is the little bits and pieces that go out to some of the like leg and under the dash areas. But 22.59-ish pounds is how much all of this weighs. So if you're ever interested in how much weight you could save on your C5, that's how much. Now there's a whole bunch of other random things, like there's insulation, this matte stuff here. I know it's very heavy because I've torn out a lot of the rest of the car already. So I know that's pretty heavy. I'm gonna take that out too. All right, I came back and weighed this, the insulation plastic stuff. Yeah, it's pretty heavy. Look at 3.6 pounds. And I'm sure there's some other bits and pieces up inside there, and random other tubes and whatnot for blowing air under your feet. So I think I'm gonna end the video here. Gives you a good idea of how to rip that thing out and how much it weighs and what you could save. Now obviously if you have a car that's a street car, you probably want to put it back in and all that stuff, which you totally can, but it's a race car. So if you want to find other videos about a C5, specifically like really tearing it apart, or just me racing this thing, check down below, and I'll link it. Also, there's a lot of new footage or content coming with a new engine for this, because that one over there is only good at making glitter and chunks of metal. That's really all it's good at. So check back on the channel. Thanks for watching. Hopefully this is helpful to those people trying to get that HVAC controls out. It was kind of a pain. I really don't know how you can really get to the bolts in there with the engine. I mean, you can with the engine in, but you got to know exactly where they are. So right there, and then the connectors for your heater, the hot side, and then the cold condenser lines would be up there too, but I ripped them out. My air conditioner is right there, and it's not going back in the car. Hashtag race car. Anyway, thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.